Have you ever felt completely drained after getting dragged into a pointless argument? Maybe you've wasted hours or even days turning over in your head what someone said or did. What I want to show you in this video is the quiet strength of stepping back. It's not about being cold or detached, it's about protecting your inner balance. Together, we'll walk through timeless Buddhist wisdom and down-to-earth strategies that will help you stop reacting automatically, choose wisely where to invest your energy, and free yourself from the constant hunger for approval. If you long to stay grounded while everything around you feels chaotic, this message has the power to reshape the way you approach life. Think about what happens when you snap back without thinking. A misplaced word, a sarcastic tone, or a glance you interpret as disrespectful. Suddenly it feels like a switch flips inside you, and before you know it, you're ready to fight back. But in that moment, you've unknowingly surrendered control. When you react on impulse, you're letting someone else decide not just how you behave, but how you feel. Imagine walking calmly down a road, and someone tosses a stone at you. If you stop to throw it back, you've already lost something precious, your time and your peace. That's exactly what happens every time we dive into petty disputes. We drain energy that could have been used to grow, to create, or to nourish ourselves. Buddhist teachings remind us that true power isn't about striking harder or winning the last word. It's about refusing to get pulled onto a battlefield that isn't yours. This doesn't mean being weak. It means consciously choosing where to place your attention. That choice is emotional intelligence in action. It's self-respect. Start by pausing. Take a slow breath. Notice the wave of emotion moving through you and ask yourself, will what I'm about to say build peace, or will it break it? Often, the strongest answer you can give is silence. Over time, not falling into these traps becomes natural, and with it comes a liberating strength, the strength of not being ruled by someone else's provocations. Our mind, however, loves to latch on. When someone wounds us with words or actions, the event itself often isn't the real problem. It's what our mind does with it afterward. Think of it like an inner hook. Certain phrases or gestures stick, and we can't stop replaying them, rewriting what we should have said, feeding the fire. And while we ruminate, our energy slips away. This happens because the mind craves control. It wants to be right, to protect its image, to manage the situation. But the tighter we hold on, the more trapped we become, like a fish fighting a line, only driving the hook deeper. Buddhism doesn't tell us to deny this impulse, but to witness it without fueling it. Letting go doesn't mean pretending it didn't hurt. It means refusing to chew on the same wound again and again. Picture your thoughts as leaves floating down a stream. You don't need to grab them. The more you let them drift, the clearer the water becomes. And in that clarity, you'll realize the weight you carried wasn't the situation itself. It was your grip on it. With practice, you'll catch yourself the very moment you're about to bite the hook. And instead of clenching tighter, you'll open your hand and release it. That is real strength, not resisting pain, but refusing to keep feeding it. Reacting instantly feels natural. A sharp remark, a cold message, a look that seems like a challenge, and suddenly your body tenses, your breath shortens, your mind crafts comebacks. It's an ancient defense reflex. But here's the catch. The moment you lash out, you're no longer free. You've handed control of your peace to the one who provoked you. Buddhism teaches that true resilience doesn't lie in defeating the other side, but in staying balanced while the world tries to knock you off center. Instead of striking back, create a gap. Breathe. Listen to your body, to the tightness in your chest, to the rhythm of your breathing. It's in that small pause that clarity reappears. You're not suppressing emotions. You're seeing them without being carried away. And when you can hold that inner space, you'll notice that many of the things you once wanted to react to simply don't deserve your energy. In that moment, you escape the trap entirely, keeping something far more valuable than winning an argument: your inner peace. But there's another invisible weight we carry: constant comparison. Even when we're not fighting openly, our mind is busy measuring. Who's right? Who's wrong? Am I winning or losing? Living like this is exhausting. It's like dragging an invisible chain through the day, the need to have the last word, to prove yourself, to close every open loop. The truth is, not every debate needs closure, and not every conflict needs a winner. When you release the need to be right, you discover a freedom that doesn't depend on anyone's validation. You realize that many battles aren't even yours. They're echoes of old wounds, of fears, of pride, afraid of being hurt. Peace doesn't come from convincing the world, but from finding an anchor inside yourself so steady that no outside opinion can shake it. And here's the irony: the less you argue and compare, the more others will respect you. Not because you overpowered them, but because you no longer need to. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is the ability to not get caught by every word, every glance, every passing reaction. Imagine walking through a crowded market. You could stop at every stall, bargain over every price, reply to every shout. Or you could stay focused on your path, moving forward without being dragged into every distraction. To get hooked means handing over the keys of your inner peace to someone else. A careless remark can poison your whole day. A passing judgment can make you question yourself, but only because, without noticing, you allowed others to decide how you should feel. Now picture yourself like a deeply rooted tree. Winds may blow, rain may fall, the sun may burn, yet you remain steady. Not because you are cold or indifferent, but because you have understood that not every gust of wind deserves to shake you. True strength is not found in winning every argument, but in realizing you are not obliged to join the fight. Each time you choose silence instead of reaction, you are not losing. You are protecting your energy, guarding your mind from useless erosion. With time, you'll see that life becomes much lighter once you stop carrying the words and intentions of others. And in that space, you free. You make room for silence, clarity, and connections that are born not from the need to be right, but from the desire to understand. Having a steady mind does not mean turning into stone, cold and distant. It means learning to stay centered while life throws its inevitable storms. It's like holding a lake within you. People, events, and surprises may toss stones into it, but you train yourself to let the waters clear again quickly, instead of remaining disturbed for days. This strength is built through daily practice. Each time you breathe instead of reacting, each time you listen without rushing to respond, each time you notice an emotion without becoming that emotion, you reinforce the foundations of your inner stability. The true problem is never the storm outside, but the cracks within that allow the storm to seep in. That's why awareness is so essential. It is like sealing those cracks, strengthening the walls, so that no insult, no rejection, no opinion can collapse your peace. Cultivating an unshakable mind takes patience, practice, and compassion toward yourself. You cannot expect to always stay calm, but you can learn to return to calm more quickly. It is an art refined day after day until it becomes who you are. And when your mind no longer reacts to every shock, something remarkable happens. Life stops feeling like an endless battle and begins to reveal itself as what it truly is: a flowing stream of experiences, some joyful, some painful, all temporary. And you, at the center, finally have the freedom to choose how to live each moment. When you have built this calm and stable ground within, you stop seeing people and situations the same way. What once pierced you now slides off. Harsh words don't sink in. Impulsive actions of others no longer carry you away. It's as though you've laid strong foundations and built a house that does not shake with the first wind. From this strength, you begin to choose with whom and how you share your energy. You no longer feel compelled to answer every message, justify every decision, or stay in relationships that drain you. You learn to tell when a bond nourishes you and when it only weighs you down. And above all, you stop confusing habit with love or guilt with responsibility. Even your conversations shift. You no longer try to convince others to see the world as you do. You allow them their truth without needing to fight for yours. And ironically, it is this openness that often draws people closer. Transforming relationships doesn't mean cutting everyone out. It means nurturing those that help you grow and letting go of those that hold you back. It is an act of self-care and of respect for others. Because when you are at peace inside, you no longer use people as outlets for your frustrations. And when you stop reacting, you create space for more honest, deeper, and gentler connections. The next step is even more profound: living without masks. For most of our lives, we play roles to be accepted. The perfect son or daughter, the partner who never disappoints, the colleague who always says yes. These masks can become so natural that we forget who we are beneath them. Real freedom begins when you stop measuring your worth by the gaze of others. You no longer bend yourself to avoid disapproval. You learn to say no without guilt, to ask for what you need without feeling selfish, to show your vulnerability without fearing it makes you weak. Authenticity becomes your filter. It pushes away those who only wanted to use you and draws in those who value your truth. Yes, some people will leave, but that is not a loss. It is space made available for truer connections. Being yourself doesn't mean being rigid. It means aligning your words and actions with your values. It means not smiling when you don't feel like it, not saying yes when your heart says no, not staying silent when your soul is urging you to speak. Living mask-free also means stopping the act you play for yourself. How often do we tell ourselves stories to justify choices that actually hurt us? How often do we pretend everything is fine when deep down we know it isn't? Removing the mask in front of the mirror is the first step to removing it in front of the world. And once you do, other people's judgments lose their power. You realize they will always project, criticize, and talk, but you are no longer there to absorb it. You live lighter, more present, more true. And in that truth, you find a peace no external approval could ever give you. To cultivate a peace that no one can take from you. Once you have chosen to live without masks, the next step is to protect what you've discovered, your inner stillness. This is not a fragile calm that shatters at the first criticism or unexpected obstacle. It is a peace rooted deep within, untouchable unless you allow it to be disturbed. Cultivating it means no longer reacting to every ripple on the surface of life. Some days, the sea will be smooth, others turbulent. But you are the ocean itself, not just its waves. When this truth sinks in, external storms no longer intimidate you. One of the most powerful ways to guard this peace is through conscious detachment. This isn't coldness or indifference, but the wisdom of choosing where your energy belongs. You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to, nor carry every burden that's handed to you. Detachment means saying, I can recognize your emotion, but I don't have to make it mine. Even a few minutes of meditation a day becomes like tending a private garden. Each breath plants a seed of calm. Each moment of silence waters the roots. The more you care for this space, the harder it becomes for anyone to invade it. In time, you'll realize that peace does not mean the absence of problems, but the ability to remain centered within them. It is the freedom of not being dragged where you don't want to go. And when you walk through the world with this quiet strength, your presence itself becomes a light for those searching for the same stability. Looking back on this journey together, it's clear how each reflection has led us here. We began by uncovering the trap of reaction, those moments where instinct takes over, and we hand our energy to situations that don't deserve it. We saw how the mind clings, how we get pulled into conflicts that drain us, and how not every battle is worth fighting. Strength often lies not in proving yourself, but in knowing when to let go. We explored how silence can disarm more than 1,000 words, and how breaking free from the need for approval is one of the deepest forms of freedom. We practiced turning anger into calm, transforming that energy into creation instead of destruction. And we discovered that the greatest freedom of all is not being defined by others. We spoke of the unshakable mind, of that stability that doesn't depend on external circumstances, but grows from within, like roots that withstand every storm. Now pause, breathe. Think about how you can apply even a small piece of this tomorrow in everyday life. A comment that once would have irritated you now passes without effect. A judgment that used to sting now dissolves before it reaches you. An avoided argument that gifts you a quiet evening. Ignoring in this way is not cold indifference, it is conscious choice. It is saying, I will not negotiate my peace for a moment of anger or pride. It is the courage to allow certain things to resolve themselves without needing to intervene. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to react, to notifications, to opinions, to expectations. Yet true strength is not reacting to everything. It is being present without being imprisoned. It is realizing your life is too precious to waste on what holds no value. Thank you for walking this path with me. If even just one sentence brought you clarity or peace, share it with someone who might need it. And don't forget to write it in the comments. I'm curious to know what resonated with you. If you've made it this far, let me know. Write the word peace in the comments. I'll read them one by one. See you in the next video.